Hello, everyone. It's me, Kirsten, and this is your It's Giving Mystical podcast for the week ahead, the week of February 6th. Okay, a couple days ago was the first day of spring in the Chinese calendar. So we are actually officially in Fire Horse energy. A child born now is born in the Fire Horse year. And we just passed Imbolc and we just passed that full moon this past weekend. And then Uranus went direct in Taurus. And then we're about to enter this like kind of gateway in February where so many major astrological transits happen. And there's just a pace picking up. And you can feel it. Like you can feel it in your body. You can feel it in the world. It's freezing cold here and there's snow everywhere. And yet you can feel the fact that something is thawing out. Something is beginning to wake back up. And there's so much to unpack in what we're encountering right now. But some of the things I really want to draw our attention to is this idea of alignment. And I'm going to say these words, alignment over effort, over and over and over again this year. It's something that can't hurt us to keep getting reminded of. And it can sound kind of cliche and cute and like a little catchphrase, but I want to break down what I mean by that when I say it. I mean this in kind of a sea change way. So I mean it in terms of this year. So we're going to notice that effort, like manual physical efforts or even psychological, spiritual efforts, are not going to gain as much ground or not going to get you as much traction as alignment will. So you really want to remember the Fire Horse is the most physically energetic, physically powerful zodiac energy, the fire plus the horse in the Chinese calendar. The Wheel of Fortune is the idea of the wheel of fate turning. It's the idea of destiny tracks lighting up. And my cousin said this to me, and another friend said this to me. Actually, within 2 hours, two people said this to me, that the snake carves a path. So the snake is slithering on its belly, the wood snake of this past year, and actually carves a track through what it leaves behind, through its metamorphosis, through its transition, so that the Fire Horse has a smooth track to run on. So it's interesting to think about how the work you did last year, the manifestations, the seeds, the intentions, the work you did to find your own coherence, to find your own medicine, to center into your power, to come more fully into your body. It's very interesting how those things are actually carving, and what you left behind, what you were willing to say goodbye to because it no longer matched you, no longer felt in alignment, how that actually activated these destiny lines. They're all different for all of us. We have our collective experience we're having, but we all have our individual experience. And the work you did last year, and this is not to instill fear, this is to say bravo and aho, the work you did last year was perfect, was perfectly done. You couldn't have done more or less. You did it perfectly. And it activated a certain destiny line that the Fire Horse will now move through, like move with. And you were clearing a path, whether you realized it or not, for the line to get activated and the horse to have something to actually materially, physically move along. So this idea of alignment over effort can be thought of just in that sense. We've efforted, we've done so much efforting, and now it's about aligning and flowing, allowing the river to flow, allowing ourselves to move with the destiny tracks, move with the river, move with the physical power of the Fire Horse. But I also mean on a deeper level that we are healing something collectively in our hearts and in our souls and in our human experience, where we really thought we had to fix ourselves. We thought we had to become something. We really thought there was an arrival. And what we're hopefully healing into, hopefully settling into, is that we're okay. There is no perfect place to get to. There is no version of you that is outside of the human condition. And so we learn to love the fullness of ourselves. We learn to love ourselves for all of our beauty and power and uniqueness and gifts and medicine. And we also learn to love ourselves for our humanity and our imperfectness and our confusion and our pain and our funny little kinks we have in all ways. So in terms of alignment over effort, it's like, you're okay just as you are. And there are people and communities and projects and work and life that wants to meet you as you are without asking you to become something else or contort yourself into something else or take a shape that is out of authenticity, out of alignment, out of coherence. Alignment over effort is something that we're going to experience in this chronological time, but it's also something that we're evolving into. It's understanding that we're not meant to do this alone, and we're not meant to punish ourselves for our humanity, that we're allowed to join into communities and spaces and projects and relationships that celebrate us for, again, like our authenticity, our coherence, our integrity, our wholeness, the exact particular quirky, gorgeous beauty of the song that we're here to sing as this version of a human. So just notice that. And one of the big markers for me is that the energy feels very potent, very tangible. So things that even a month ago I would have been like, oh, that's for me. That's a good match to me. I'm curious about that. I'm interested in that. All of a sudden I turn my energy there and it feels dead or boring or flat, or just there's no life there. There's no vitality, fire, power there. And then there are things that I can't quite explain. I don't really know where that's going to go or what that's doing. And yet my energy lifts, my physical, actual material energy lifts in response to it. Put your hands there, put your body there, have that conversation, be in that space, trust that momentum, trust that destiny line, trust that river, trust what's coming to meet you there. And that's an act of faith. It's an act of faith to say, I can't see why I'm meant to be here, but I can feel in my being the physical aliveness, the aliveness of the thing. That's your temperature check for this year, but particularly for right now, noticing what things are really falling away. And a part of this will be that dialogue of should. Like, I should be here. I should want this. This should feel good. And you're just tracking that and noticing that and saying, okay, and maybe you keep moving in the direction, or maybe you say, I'm going to put that down for a minute. If I feel the should, but I don't feel energetically alive around it, that's really good information. The fire horse is literally going to light a fire, light a physical momentum, light a trajectory in you towards the things that you're meant to align with right now, that are meant to help you, again, like not just arrive on your own, but collectively create communities that are arriving, communities that are evolving and transforming. Coming back to that yin yoga metaphor, there's what we're experiencing, and then we're staying with it. And then what do we experience under that? And then what do we experience under that? And the example that came up in the priestess call for Mystic Rising was the idea of Mercury retrograde, right? We all know the classic trope, like your ex is going to text you on Mercury retrograde, or don't text your ex in Mercury retrograde if you feel tempted to text your ex. And yes, of course, do the thing that's going to create healthy, safe space for you. But also compassion and humor and patience for the fact that sometimes we need to learn the lesson again and again. Sometimes we need to do the thing or take the hit or make the messy choice because we're still learning there. And that comes back to, again, this alignment over effort. It's not really about what we're efforting around. It's about what we're trying to reveal to ourselves, experience for ourselves, understand about ourselves, about our place in the world, about the things that we're creating, making art around together. All of that comes up here too. And then the last thing, the hangman and the high priestess, you're going to get intuitive hits. You're going to see things differently. You have to talk to an astrologer about the intricacies of what's happening over this next month. The Lunar New Year, that will happen, I think it's the 17th or 19th. That is going to be an important moment. And I think it kicks us off into an eclipse cycle. And there's something about the 0 degree of Aries, which is something new we haven't experienced together, I think, in our lifetime or in recorded history, something like that. You can feel that something is trying to birth itself, trying to emerge from where we are. Probably in your own life, you have specific ideas about that, but then you can also see it in the world, in our communities and collectively, and the way the world is evolving and changing right now. It, again, just requires faith to know that you don't have to be the creator of all things, the creator of all change, that you're allowed to stay with yourself, trust where you're called to move, what you're called to move towards, trust what you're inspired and motivated around, and trust like that's your part in the evolution, that's your part in what we're creating together. Again, though, this is a moment, evolutionary moment, I think, where we're discovering that we want to create together. This idea of I need to do it on my own to achieve some mythical sense of now I've got all the things, just it doesn't feel good anymore. It feels flat. It feels, again, kind of dead, and definitely not where I want to be putting my energy. That's a question for you, where you want to be putting your energy, but Just notice. Notice what's alive. Notice what feels boring or frustrating that maybe you think you're supposed to want or it's supposed to feel good. And that's your exploration. That's your jumping off point for your own self-discovery. I've gotten interrupted doing this podcast like maybe a dozen times. So here we are. All of that's to say that the Wheel of Fortune and the Fire Horse are fast-moving energies. They're destiny lines that have already been carved into the terrain. It's not that there's no effort required, but effort is not the magic sauce. Working harder is not the magic sauce. Feeling yourself, staying with yourself, and then trusting your intuition about where you're meant to be, where you're meant to go next, what types of relationships, communities, spaces, projects are aligned with you, are ready and able and fired up to build something with you. Wheel of Fortune, moving fast. Fire Horse, moving fast. High Priestess and Hangman, not moving, but perceiving on a much deeper level, a different level. Like this is a different kind of perception. And you want to stay. You want to stay with exactly what is, like comfortable, uncomfortable. Stay with it. Relax into it. See what gets released in these deeper layers. See what gets revealed to you, or what, again, meets you as you sit in a very different way of perceiving and being in the world, which is going to happen for all of us in February. Okay, finally, the card of the week, Kirsten, the Knight of Swords. So the Knight of Swords, the fastest knight in the deck, probably besides the Eight of Wands, the fastest card in the deck. So this double triples down on the fact that we're moving faster than we think we can in February, especially this week. I think I said this on the January podcast. You might have this idea of, oh, I'm going to get all this stuff done in 2026, and you might get it done the first 3 months or the first 6 months, or it might fall off your table altogether, or it might come into alignment with more support than you could have imagined. The Knight of Swords is hero energy. So what's the best of that? The best of that is the Knight of Swords is the friend, the companion, the person, the version of you that's going to show up in the middle of the night or on the dark side of the road. It's the people showing up in Minneapolis. It's the people that are going to show up when it's hard, and they're not going to hesitate. And there's a fearlessness and a courage and a urgency in the best way of like, this is where I'm meant to be. This is my task. This is my space. This is my job to do. And it's beautiful energy. Is really is the part of us that is reckless, but in a way of, or heedless is a better word. I know it's dangerous. I know it's hard terrain. I know it's going to be a struggle. And yet I'm willing to show up. I'm not afraid. Like I am not afraid. That is the energy of the Knight of Swords. The downside of the Knight of Swords is that he can burn out quickly. So this is the part of you that wants to be in alignment, not effort. You want to have a sense of there's something bigger carrying me and this mission and this connection and this dynamic further. I'm not doing it on my own. So the Knight of Swords might be the part of you that is, an example would be like pushing a project forward even though it's got no momentum and it feels like it's dead in the water, but you're like, no, I was committed to this. This is something I said I was going to do. If all signs point to it's dead in the water, that's something to notice. And the Knight of Swords won't always notice that right away. Or this is, I'm in love with you. And then they don't feel the same way. And you're like, no, but I'm in love with you. Okay, well, sometimes we need a mutual exchange. There's something about the Knight of Swords where he can get so caught up in the mission, so caught up in the what I'm supposed to do, so caught up in this hero archetype of like, no, it's my job to save the day. And so we want to notice that if we find ourselves in a place where we can feel like pushing the boulder uphill, the Knight of Swords is, that energy is going to just say to you, is this still your mission? Is this still your place? Is this really the job that you're here to do? The Knight of Swords says you're going to have a lot of energy this week, and he's a little bit, again, like passionate and courageous and also reckless about how he moves. A little here today, gone tomorrow. So that's here. And I would say the best energy of the Knight of Swords is that there's momentum, there's energy, there's allegiance. I promised you that. I made that vow. I said that to you. I said I would show up. I said I would be there. And the part of you that keeps your word, keeps that promise, that's beautiful. My overall read of the Knight of Swords is that's lovely, but also slow down. That's the way I interpret this card. But I would say this week, it feels like, honestly, it feels like one of the best versions of the Knight of Swords, which is clarity. Which is like, oh, I know where I'm supposed to be. I know what I'm supposed to be fighting for, and I'm not afraid. This energy of like, I'm not afraid. It's a beautiful win to have at your back. And I'll just say it for the 100th time. There's just a lot of speed, a lot of momentum, a lot of movement. Sometimes that's just the river that we're on. That's just the curve of the river that we're on. And we have to be okay with all that movement, ride that current, ride that movement. My For You page on TikTok, I keep getting all these big wave surfers. It's wild. I've always thought it was wild. But as I get older, I'm like, that's wild. The idea of being able to ride a wave that is so much bigger than you, it takes my breath away. So you can feel the sense of all of this movement can have a sense of taking your breath away. That's beautiful. Take my breath away as a Top Gun. Like there's something beautiful about that energy of, I'm so moved by this. I feel awe in such a deep way in my body that I literally lose my breath. And that can happen in small moments, looking at a child or a baby. And it can also happen when you're falling in love. It can also happen when you're a crazy big wave surfer. And it can also happen when someone shocks you. The feeling is neither good nor bad. But it's that sense of, this is bigger than me. And because the Knight of Swords has this connection to truth and clarity and willingness to fight for what you believe in, that's beautiful. And we'll find out what your experience is, whether your experience is carried away in the best way, a clarification and an idea of, oh, I know exactly where I'm meant to go, or whether it will have a sensation of being a fast turn in the river, and whether that feels good or bad. I will come back to what I said, what you're anchoring into this month. What do you know? What is a value you hold, or something that you feel when you think about it, you are completely aligned? I'm going to always come back to my children. Whatever else is happening in my life, I am their mother, and I am devoted to and passionate about being their mother. I love being their mother. And even when it's hard, that's an anchor I come back to. So when things get swirly for me or confusing for me, it's one of the things that I can close my eyes, take a deep breath, and settle back into. The work I've done with a physical body this past year, I feel that. So my yoga practice, walking, moving, dancing, just have the sense of, what do I come back to when I am afraid of losing myself, or when I feel myself getting carried away, or when I feel the world is just too much? Knight of Swords is fast. Knight of Swords is truth-telling. Knight of Swords is passionate and has a ton of momentum. And in this particular moment that we're in, again, Wheel of Fortune, Fire Horse, High Priestess, Hangman, it actually feels like a clear bell. Something rings and you're like, oh, that, and then you head towards it. And there's maybe a heedlessness, a recklessness, but also a rightness to it. And I don't know. I guess I'm going to stop warning you about it and just say, if you know, you know. And it was interesting is that the Queen of Cups was underneath the deck. It was at the bottom of the deck. And when I first pulled the cards, it looked like she had her back to him and he was running towards her. So there might be a sense of something deep. So something you find in the High Priestess space or in the Hangman space, something deep getting clarified where you say, oh, now I see. I am not afraid and I know exactly where to go. Yeah. So take that with you, Knight of Swords. And again, like, just be good to yourself. Say nice things to yourself. It is hard to be human. It's hard to be human in this moment. And we are confusing little creatures. And the world will be what the world is. The river, the destiny lines, all of that will be what it is. But you have the capacity and the ability to be kind to yourself on the journey, on the walk. And it just makes it nicer. It's just nicer to be your own best ally. So I wish that for you. And I wish for all of us that clear bell. Like, oh, actually, I know what to do now. I feel really clear about this and nothing's going to stop me. That too is a beautiful, beautiful feeling. Okay. I hope this podcast made sense. This was a doozy for me. I got maybe 75 phone calls and 4 interruptions. And I hope that everything is as it should be and it came through exactly as it needed to. And I send you, as always, so much love. Bye.